We are live. Excellent. It only took a half an hour to figure out. It's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Restarted my computer. I don't know what's wrong with my computer. It is just like, it sat there and waited and waited and waited. And then the desktop came up and I was just like, okay. And then I pressed Firefox and I sat there for another, I'm just like, what? Why? Ooh, you're gone. What happened? That's no good. Hopefully she finds her way back on because it's mad because I was complaining. That's what's going on. There she is. There you are.
I told you, I think our lives are being haunted. Like,
I'll take it.
I swear, it's like every week it's something. There's always a thing.
That's so funny. So I actually have a question for you, which is kind of writing related, but not like it's adjacent. It's freelance adjacent.
Oh, hold on. What's just happening?
You're frozen.
I took my headphones off because they weren't like connecting, and as soon as I took them off, my Spotify decided that we needed to shake it like a salt shaker. So,
is the little doing homework behind you?
She is playing on her tablet.
Okay.
Yeah, they're done for the summer.
Oh God.
Friday was the last day.
Mine's gonna be 22, so it's not something I mean, he's home all the time, so you know.
My 20-year-old doesn't answer my phone calls, so you know that's that.
That sounds about right for that age.
Oh, and I'm gonna go ahead and ask for everybody's forgiveness. I've been using a lot of these Werther's originals because I quit vaping.
Yay! How are you feeling?
I'm fine. I mean, it wasn't like. First of all, I didn't do it on purpose. It was, I discovered entirely by accident about a week and a half ago that I could no longer buy flavored vape juice in the state of California. Nor could I have it mailed here. And I didn't want to stick with like the tobacco or the menthol flavored stuff because that's just too similar to cigarettes, and I worked really hard to not be on those anymore. So I just used up the rest of the juice that I had, and I was like, screw it, I'm done. And that was Friday.
Did not know they changed the laws.
California did.
It took until I was working at Starbucks for me to realize they changed the smoking age and like vape and all this up to 21. And I was like, I'm so far above 21 that it doesn't affect me. I had no idea.
See, I only knew because Hannah turned 18, and then like the next month the new law went into effect, and she was so mad. Yeah. What'd you get? Stupid. Shouldn't have started in the first place. Ask me how I know. But yeah, no, I mean quitting the vaping hasn't really been all that hard because I haven't used nicotine in it for about 3 years now. I just like the flavor and like having something to do. So when I ran out, I bought myself, oh my God, I only have one left in this bag. I ate the whole freaking bag in the last 2 days. But Werther's Originals. And like I go to reach for it all the time. And the funny thing is that in the last 5 days, I haven't had anything to do with my hands. So I ordered myself some fidgets.
Good deal. Fidgets.
Yeah. So anyway, non-writing / semi-writing question.
Okay, it's actually I'm gonna talk about this in hypothetical terms because I'm not technically allowed to talk about it, if that makes sense. So say a freelancer interviewed with a company, been going back and forth for like a month or so, and other projects coming to a close, about to sign new contracts for other things within the week. How would you approach that employer, that freelance? Oh, it's technically not a freelance employer, but that other person being like, so you gonna give me the job or am I gonna sign with these other people kind of situation? How do you address that?
I think that's the thing is like I go back to whoever the hiring manager is and just tell them, we've been very communicative about this over the last month or so. I'm very excited about this position and I would love the opportunity. However, right now I do have another offer on the table, and because my previous contracts are coming to the close, I am at a decision point. Where are we in the hiring process?
That is a good way to put that. I should probably be writing this down.
The benefit of the business degree. You can speak corporate bullshit.
Yes. I just didn't know like how soon it was to do that kind of thing.
I mean, it's never too soon to let them know that, like, I do have another offer on the table, and I am at a point where I do need to make, some financial decisions, and where are we at with this?
Okay.
Because I know you were really excited. This hypothetical person was very excited about a specific opportunity that may or may not be actually happening.
Yeah. I'm going to type this up and shoot it off to you to double check me before I send it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
I don't know if I ever told you, but that was like a whole class that I had to take for my degree.
Really?
Writing for business. Yeah, it was required by UCCS. So that was fun.
I can't remember the whole thing we were saying, but I'm sure I'll remember it after.
That's fine. If you send it to me, I can always just add things in too.
Cool. All right. So yeah, that's happening. I just finished my ghostwriting book, not yesterday, the day before.
Yay.
And I'm on my final reread of it, and I have to submit it tonight. So yeah.
Nice.
I have like 50 pages left to read out of the 180. So I'm like, it's not like I am struggling to get there. It will get done tonight. But I want to complain about some things that I shouldn't complain about with other stuff. Like signing new contracts with a person who's going to take over a company in a week, and I still haven't met yet.
Yes. Say hi.
Hi.
She said womp.
Womp. Yeah. But life is a mess right now, and that's great. Chris and I also have my husband who's like, quit all of your jobs, write full time, clean the house, I'll pay for everything else. I'm like, you can't. You'll never get out of this house if that happens, though.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons why I was looking at that Insane challenge that I sent you. And granted, I'm not. Her list was ridiculous. Let me just say, her list of things. I mean, I call it insane for a reason. But I kind of started it yesterday, or maybe even Sunday, because I cleaned on Sunday, if you can believe it, because I hate to clean. But I'm trying to start like every Sunday cleaning something consistently around the house, especially vacuuming because of the cats. And then writing Monday through Saturday.
Yeah.
How old is she?
I will kick you out of this office. 6 tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. Too old. It's getting too old.
I know.
Let's stop it.
6 tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. I was there. Remember.
No.
Sure. Oh goodness. Lost train of thought. Oh, Monday through Saturday is usually when I write, and I take Sundays off. So I'm hoping to write an extra 1,000 words in like my own personal stuff during the week, on top of what I'm ghostwriting. It's the social media posts that I'm failing at, because I do everything else pretty much consistently.
I'm terrible about it. I have a whole blog, and I've been so bad about posting regularly in that thing. It's horrible.
See, that's one of the things I need to get back on. Newsletters, blog posts, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I should get on TikTok. I mean, I am technically on TikTok.
Okay,
but
we're back.
You
miss.
What?
I need you to get out.
No.
You're being too loud.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Go get a snack.
Snack.
I don't know, something in the pantry or something in the bell that's on the counter. Or you can go have a Lunchable. How about that? Go eat your Lunchable.
Why?
Because you're driving me crazy.
Do I get the talkie one?
We don't have any more tacky ones, but you can eat some of your Takis. Come on, Out.
Enjoy children.
Yeah.
Oh, if I was there, I would smack that butt so bad.
There you go.
Oops, okay. Go ahead, Mom. No, come on. I'm in the middle of something. You cannot be in here making noise. Go.
No.
But you were making noise. You have one more chance. If I have to tell you again, you're done. You understand me? Stop it.
Oh.
You know what the saddest part about this interaction is? There's no booze in this. I'm doing it all sober.
You know, gotta do mom stuff sometimes. Sober.
Highly unfortunate.
Yeah.
I say
I'm
that
sober
like a
today.
drink. I don't, but
I don't drink. I do other stuff, but yeah. Which I haven't today, and we don't have any, so that's okay. So I went 6 weeks without it, and then
right.
I came home, and there was stuff, and so I've done stuff. Not as much as I was like the 4 times a day that we were doing before, but oh my God, this weekend, I had one of those moments where I'm like, I need to stop doing this because I had smoked in the afternoon, and then too soon after, took too big of a hit. Came inside, and I usually get like a little panicky because I have the stomach surgery I had is wrapped around my vagus nerve. And so when I get gas buildup and stuff and I can't burp, it pushes on it. It makes me lightheaded, makes me feel like I'm having a heart attack. I so seriously thought I was having a heart attack and dying. I was begging Jason to call 911 and he wasn't doing it. And I was just like, I'm going to die. I'm going to fucking die. And here we go.
That's how I feel with acid reflux. I get a very sharp pain up my breastbone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have GERD?
No, that's what the stomach surgery was for.
Did they ever tell you to try a little bit of baking soda and some cold water and drink it?
No, but I do take Gas X when I have that issue usually, which I think has a similar effect.
Gas X never did anything for me, but the baking, usually what I do if I have an acid reflux attack is I'll do the baking soda in cold water and then immediately hop in a very hot shower and let it pound on my back. And then I'll just kind of like every few minutes I'll rotate front to back. And it's usually gone within 10 minutes.
Usually, if I can get myself to burp, because I have to actually burp myself like a baby because of the way it's wrapped and the pockets get stuffed with gas, then I'm okay. But I couldn't burp. And it was just kept building and building and building. And I was like this close to being completely passed out, which I was trying not to pass out because I was scared I was going to die.
Okay, but you're not allowed to die, okay?
Right.
I cannot write any more obituaries anytime soon. Please don't do that to me.
I won't. I'm doing my best. But I was like, I had bacon this morning. Oh God. Because, a couple pieces of bacon is really going to be what gives me that heart attack.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I thought it was funny. Jason's response was no more peanut butter. And I'm like, I eat peanut butter in one thing. I put it in my ramen noodles. He can't stand the smell of it. And he's using it as an excuse to not get me to put peanut butter in my ramen anymore.
Did I tell you that I started making peanut butter buttercream for my chocolate cakes?
Ooh, I like that. I like peanut butter. I don't eat it very
so
often.
funny.
But
Because I was making the chocolate cake with the peanut butter icing for the photo club for the end of year party. For those of you that don't know, I just graduated with an associate's degree in photography from my local community college, and I was the secretary of the MPC photo club. So I'm also a hobby baker. I'm not a very good artist, but I'm a hobby baker. And so I made a quarter sheet cake. So I get the first cake out of the oven, and I was going to do what I always do with cakes, which was like slice it in half horizontally and then, crumb coat it, frosting inside. So I've got 2 layers, right? And this particular cake recipe is very moist. It's very soft. And the whole fucking thing exploded all over my kitchen. So I called my mom. I cried. And then I turned around and I started over again. Wound up having to make 1.5 times the recipe in order to fill 2 of those 9x13 cake pans so that I could stack them without having to cut them. But now I've got the remnants of this first cake, right? That most of it was on the counter. So, and the counters were clean because I clean my counters like hell when I'm baking.
Oh yeah.
And so I put it all in a bowl. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with this. Zach came home from work that day, and we kind of like brainstormed a little bit. We wound up putting it in a Ziploc baggie and throwing it in the freezer to figure out later. Because like, why would I waste that much cake, right?
Right.
Well, his birthday was a few days later, so instead of making another cake from scratch, I took the leftover cake and kind of like mashed it all together and pushed it down into a pan, and then turned it into a chocolate tres leches cake, and then poured the rest of the peanut butter frosting on top of it. It was really good.
Nice. I'm not a tres leches cake fan. I don't like my cake to be soggy.
I'm usually not either, but what I did was I did it like the night before and I put it in the fridge so it has time to absorb all of it without getting all like sopping wet. But it also kind of like, because that cake is really rich. And I've got a chocolate icing recipe that I can use for it that's not super, super sweet, but the peanut butter, it's like Reese's peanut butter cup sweet.
I want some so bad now. Already had my cheat meal of the day though, which to be fair was not that bad of a cheat meal because it was egg, avocado.
I get so excited
sourdough.
because it's summer and I'm like, I can have melon for my cheats because they're in season and they're so low calorie that like today for like my snack in between breakfast and lunch, I ate 3/4 of a fucking cantaloupe.
Why is that considered a cheat? Are you on like keto or something?
No, I'm just doing a calorie deficit.
Okay.
But between the calorie deficit, the walking, the dumbbell workouts, and then my doctor put me on phentermine for weight loss. Last week I was so excited I hit the 30-pound mark. I've lost 30 pounds since February.
Congratulations.
I was pretty happy with it.
I got down to 201 and then I gained 20 or 15 pounds back. So
I hate having to admit this, but I try not to hide it because to me that's just like body shaming myself, but I hit almost 290 pounds because I was doing really good. And then the holidays of 2023 going into 2024 hit, and then we lost Hannah, and I fucking ballooned because I spent a year and a half eating my feelings. Not
to be fair though,
a little over a year.
You were also very tall.
Yes.
So you have a better allowance of that with that number. So
but I'm back down in the 250s at this point. And I'm just like, I'm not trying to think of like my goal weight. I'm trying to think of like
how you feel.
10-pound increments. Like just 10 pounds. Because anybody can do 10 pounds, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'm having my knees done on the 18. So I'm like, I really got to get on the whole calorie deficit thing because I'm not going to be able to work out for a while.
Now, one of my questions for you is what kind of calorie deficit have you given yourself? Because I hear some people go down to like 1,200 calories. I'm like, that's too low. I'm
1,750.
That's about around where
1,750, but I give myself wiggle room because if I do both a 3.5 mile walk and a dumbbell routine in one day, I'm gonna get super hungry. Like there's no avoiding that. No. Now when I'm smart about it, I'll do things like keep fresh cucumbers and stuff in the house because you munch on that shit all fucking day and it's not gonna make a difference. But
I wish I could have cucumbers.
I'm more of a fruit person anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But
do you like sweet and sour stuff?
Depends on what it is.
I have one of my favorite low-cal meals, which is like high in protein and whatnot, is zero-fat Greek yogurt. And then berries chopped up with literally just a sprinkling of sugar just to get the juices flowing and balsamic vinegar. And then you mix it all together. Put a little honey in it. Oh my God. One of my favorite things. It's like 300 calories.
Somewhat similar. Because like 3 or 4 years ago, I started on the Mayo Clinic diet. Mm-hmm. And that worked really well for me so long as I was sticking to it. But I was also paying like $100 a month for the whole thing. I was nuts. But I did that while I was teaching at the high school. And that was kind of easy because like you couldn't leave for your lunch break. So long as I was smart about what I put in my little mini fridge in my classroom, I was in a vacuum. Like there was no, wiggle room there. But one of the things that I would do on there is like they had some of the recipes, all of the dinner recipes come with some sort of a dessert at the end, whether it's like a baked pear or whatever. And one of them that I actually really liked was you get some low-fat ricotta and you mix it with raspberries. And that's how they did it. They stopped there. But me, I took it a step further because why would I not? And I would add just a little bit of agave syrup to make it sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little bit of cocoa powder, unsweetened cocoa powder. So it comes out like chocolate and raspberries.
It's almost like cannoli-ish without the cannoli part.
Right.
That sounds
That's
good.
pretty good.
I cannot find cannolis down here. It sucks.
Can't find good pizza out here. The best pizza we get out here is Costco.
They have a cauliflower pizza that I really like.
I could get good pizza in Texas. I could get good pizza in Alabama. I could get good pizza in North Carolina. I cannot get good pizza in California. But I'm going back to the East Coast. I can't wait.
So I could give you a pizza recipe if you want.
I have some that are really good. They're just too much freaking work.
They are a lot of work. Yes.
In fact, I have one of my favorite pictures of Hannah was, I forget exactly how old she was, but we were visiting my parents' house when they were in Florida. And she made homemade pizza with my dad. And so it's a picture of the two of them standing over the counter with their pizza. She's just grinning like a couple of damn loons.
And it's cute.
It was super cute. So that was the whole thing.
Bella how to make pizza dough. Not this last time. I think that the year before that, I taught her how to make pizza dough. She wants to be a chef, so when I go, I try to teach her something.
She's still a toddler. In my head, she's still a toddler.
She's 16.
Nope. I reject that hypothesis.
Leo is still a toddler. He's 4. Is that 4 still a toddler?
No, small child.
Small. He acts like a toddler. I think he's got ADHD. He needs constant attention, and it drives me absolutely batshit crazy.
Emma's turning 21 in October.
Oh my God.
I'm sending her with Shayna's oldest daughter, Kyla, and Candy's 2 older girls, Kayla and Aaliyah. We're going to wait until next June because that's when Aaliyah turns 21, but I'm going to send all of them to Atlantic City for a weekend.
Nice.
It's a birthday gift. Because Emma and Hannah were supposed to, for Emma's birthday this year, they were supposed to go to Vegas together. Obviously not happening anymore.
Right.
So I was like, Atlantic City's a lot closer. It's a lot cheaper, and Kayla won't fly. She's terrified of flying. I was like, but she could easily drive there. So I put it on the table, and I was like, if this is something you'd like to do, let me know, and I'll start calling around. And she was like, that's cool. So
what's happening?
Send a bunch of them to Atlantic City.
I was already going to the bars by the time I was old enough to drink. So
your godson's about to turn 11.
Tell him I'll stop getting older so that I can stop getting older.
No.
I know, right? You're done for?
What?
What are you doing? Are you playing Roblox?
What?
Are you playing Roblox?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I'm playing Roblox.
No idea what that is. Tablet games.
Yeah.
So how's your writing been this week?
I didn't get any done yesterday. But I did sit here, like I took all of my sticky notes off because transportation is coming on Thursday to do an eval. And I was like, well, before they pack up all of my computer stuff, I know it's not for a few more weeks, but I put all my sticky notes in this little folder so that I can, so I can take it with me. So I didn't get any words in yesterday. I did get some words in Saturday and Sunday. But I did come up with another idea that I'm tossing around. So one of the things that I've really been struggling internally with this story is that I don't want an all-white cast. I think it's boring and racist and just unimaginative, really. But there comes a conundrum with representing races that I don't belong to, or that, you know, are so far back in my family tree that I don't have that lived experience. So there's one editor that I've been following on TikTok. She's a wonderful Black woman. I love listening to her as she talks about developing characters of color if you are not a person of color. And I think that her series of videos on inclusion and inclusivity are really important. But given that I'm writing a fantasy, I think what I'm going to do is sort of add just enough of a fantastical element to physical appearances that I can sidestep some of the contemporary issues with race and ethnicity. Not because I don't think it's important to talk about, but because the things I'm going to put my characters through are really, really bad. So I don't want that to be the factor that people see when I'm putting my characters through these things, because it's not the race isn't the factor. It's just
it's more of like a socioeconomic issue for characters, elitism versus lower caste kind of shit.
Right, and it's happening in every region, regardless of region. So I think what I'm going to do is have like the various different races are going to have sort of like visible tells that kind of tell you, where their predominant family history developed, right? So like I have my separate kingdom is in the desert, and they have their desert oasis people, they have their nomads. One of my secondary characters, my empress, not for the kingdom, but for my primary empire, she comes from the nomadic people. And I had not intended to write her as a Black woman like that. I wasn't going into it thinking, yep, she's definitely Black. It's just, she just was that way when I started writing her. I think for the nomadic people is that they're all going to have very dark skin, but their undertones of their skin are going to be sort of jewel toned. So like, how when you see like blue-black hair, it's black, but it's got that sort of shimmer of blue to it. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I'm going for. And it could be blues, reds, dark greens, whatever. But then they're also going to have sort of like these little like markings right here. Now they're not tattoos, they're born with them, but they're kind of like a little bit of a stripe in threes here, and then matching bands around their arm, and it's a more prominent version of the undertone color. Or I've got like my people from, I just wrote all this down last night and I don't remember any of it. Like the people from my primarily agricultural region. So I want their skin tones to be very earthy, right? So various shades of brown, not necessarily one shade, but various shades of brown. But they're also going to have like visible but very faint tracings of like different sorts of vines and leaves, like agricultural plant related, markings, things like that, because I think that pulls them just enough into the realm of fantasy that I don't have to drive myself crazy trying to write experiences that aren't mine, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to, I want to be inclusive, but I also don't want to alienate any readers because I fucked up on the writing. Like, so that's my latest curveball that I've thrown at myself.
It makes me think once again about Voyage of the Damned, and I don't know if you've read that book, but they do a really good job of having all of these different cities with very distinct markers that say where, kind of reveal where they're from.
Right.
As well as, of course, their special powers, but it's a lot of like the top people in the top part of the island are all the elite, and the lower classes are in the lower.
See, that's funny because I've never read it, but that's very similar to what I'm doing.
The story is very different from what you're doing, but I think there's a lot of things that you might enjoy and even get inspiration from if you were to read it. It was my favorite book last year that I read, Voyage of the Damned. Francis White.
I have Amazon pulled up. I'm gonna throw it on my TBR. That's actually, I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that I was going to ask you for, because I'm attempting to do the trad publishing route.
Mm-hmm.
Comps. As I'm writing this story, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there are 100,000 of them out there that I could easily use. Summary, zip it.
Okay.
She's my spicy baby.
Extra push buttons.
Yep, and she has no fear of me. I wish she would have some fear of me. She does not. My children don't fear me enough. The mouth on her too. People talk about, like, it's been a thing lately. A trend on TikTok has been, tell me how your teenager has roasted you this week. I'm like, it's not my teenager. I gotta worry about it. It's this fucking thing.
I do always enjoy the few times I go on Facebook, seeing today in the Lynch household.
The thing said in the Lynch house today, yeah.
Yeah.
The one I still haven't got over was the one that she said a few months ago. So Zach was in Tokyo for a month on a language immersion thing for DLI. And while he was gone, I was just, my mom was here, but I was still trying to keep to my normal routine. And so I go in one day, it's a school day, I go in one day to wake her up. And like my standard thing for her forever has been to try to wake her up with tickles and giggling and like trying to make it fun, because she's very much like me in the morning. We're not morning people, we are Krakens. Leave us alone. But she has to get up because it's a school day, right? And I had to go to work. She looked at me, totally deadpan. She goes, Mom, your behavior right now is why Dad's been gone for so long. And because of you, he's probably with another girl.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely no punches pulled.
None. Let me reiterate, she turns 6 tomorrow.
Yeah. She's got a lot of you in her.
But the funny thing is, like, she's got a lot of me, like, as a teenager in her. A lot of me as a younger child, because I was very much the shy, quiet kid until high school. Not this one. No fucks given. She don't care.
Well, she gets to experience you now, so she gets a little bit more of that adultier personality.
That's a terrifying thought.
There's one of my kids. Kitty. Oh boy. Yeah. I'm having that shiny new project syndrome where I'm just like, I want to write all of the new things right now because I just finished something. I still have to edit those two, the book that I wrote that ended up being 2 books. And I just
saw your cat.
Yeah. All right, Kitty. I have one down here as well, but 5 of them is too many. The 13 I used to have was way too many.
We won't be doing pets for a while.
Oh my goodness. So the other night it was cold and I curled up with Jason, because usually the cat likes to sleep between his Proto, the pink nosed one. But we were like snuggled up. He comes and climbs on us and like literally wedges a little spot between us so he can lay between us. And I'm just like, you're a little shit.
That's hilarious.
He's like, this is my spot. I'm like, okay. I mean, technically, yes, it is, but oh my God. It's like he heard it happening. I don't know.
Yeah, no more pets for us for a while.
I get it. You don't have any more?
No, we had to put Odin down in April. The cancer got really bad, and then like his last few days, like I knew for a while that it was time. Yeah. But I had a lot of trouble taking that step to push Zach to get to that point, because neither he nor the kids were ready to say goodbye. And given that we're, so recently traumatized by Hannah, like I was really hesitant to push it. And then his last few days, like they were just, it was bad. It was really bad. And finally I told him, I was like, we can't, he's very much at that point. Like he wasn't eating, he wasn't drinking. He had mast cell tumors was the cancer that he had. And I don't know if you remember when you saw him, he had that big old mass on the back of his leg.
Mhm.
And that was the one that got really bad. And it got to a point where it just, I mean, he was so bad. Like, usually, my understanding is, like, usually if you take a pet in and have him euthanized, that, you know, they go to sleep and then it takes a few minutes. It took him a few minutes to get a good blood vessel because he hadn't been drinking any water. But it was like almost as soon as the medication was in his veins, his heart stopped. Like, he was ready. So between the emotional impact, I mean, we got him when Connor was 1. So, or right before he turned 1. So it was we had him for 10 years and he was a puppy when we got him. And that was Hannah's soul dog, you know? So being in that room with him was like really traumatizing. So between the emotional impact and just knowing how many moves and stuff we have going on up in the next coming years, like that's too selfish in my opinion to get a dog or another animal at this point. Particularly because when going to Japan, it's a 6-month quarantine.
It's a long time to be without your pet.
So, I mean, I've heard some people say that yes, you can have your pet with you during quarantine. I've heard some say no, you can't. So and it's a long time for them, you know. Hard on the humans, but at least the humans understand the why. Dogs, the other pets don't.
Yeah.
It's not fair for them. So, no more pets.
I get it. We're not going to have any more after these guys. I say that, and our youngest one is like a year and a half old, so we're going to have him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
A little tubby butt. Oh, I've got a picture I'll have to send you later of him getting snatched up,
Oi,
sitting up like a baby.
you're making noise again. So you're going to have to pipe down, go downstairs. Or you can go lay on my bed and play. Or you can go lay on your mountain of stuffed animals.
Yeah, I've got that.
Mountain of stuffed animals.
We had so many of them. There were a bunch of them that, you know, Hannah was going to hang on to them, or I had just straight out given them to her, and then I had to take them back. I have 2 100-gallon bins full of stuffed animals, plus another normal size bin, and that doesn't include the mountain of them currently in her room.
I can't even imagine. Most of my stuffed animals are in a box. I still haven't unpacked them from moving here 12, 13 years ago.
I mean, the move out here, we moved into a much smaller, like just square footage wise, the house is much smaller than what we had in North Carolina. But like I will say, the one thing with military housing is that they tend to come with these ridiculously large storage spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in a storage space.
Fun times.
What the fuck else am I going to do with them other than have to pick them up all the time because my kids make a mess? I don't know.
Yeah. You want to get a little bit of work done?
Sure.
Do like a 20, 25 minute work sprint.
I'm in a sort of weird spot with this chapter that I've been working on. Like I made a lot of progress on it over the weekend, but now I'm at this weird spot because I've got this group of 4 people that I haven't decided if they are individual enough to have personalities or if they just operate solely as a group. I don't know.
I have a group like that in the book that I just finished writing. I call them the trio of nurses. We all kind of share the same brain cell.
So in totality, there's actually a group of 6 of them on this particular island that we are visiting. And it's the governor, the governor's spouse, and then the 4 council members.
You might give one of them a personality.
So the governor and the governor's spouse have their own personalities. But for the rest of the 4, I'm just like, I'm kind of leaning towards letting them be more, like giving them names, obviously, but being more of a unit and operating
For the readers.
They just put on a united front regardless of what else is going on. type thing, you know? So I don't know. It's like I've been staring at this point of the chapter like, and something like I was like, okay, maybe I'll just work on another chapter. But I'm stuck here because I'm like, for some reason, I'm not at a point where I can jump around anymore. I have to start connecting the dots.
Gotcha. That's the hard part.
Yeah. So I've got 5 chapters in progress. Not consecutively either. But it's all the filler stuff in between that I haven't started. And how do I get them from this point to this point? You know?
Yeah.
In 56,000 words.
Good job.
That's where I'm at. More than halfway done, but
Well, time to sit, hopefully with limited distractions. I would almost say no distractions, but there's a munchkin over there.
there's a munchkin over there.
And let's hone in for 25 minutes and see if we can get you past the block you're in.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to put the writing sprint up there. Let me set the 25-minute thing. And I'm going to mute myself because I'm probably going to play something in the background that's copyrighted. So
I'm just listening to my jazz music again.
sounds good. All right. Let's get to it.
Sorry for all the shaking.
No. Come on. Yeah. You're baby. No. And two. There. One. Yep. Mom, are you talking?
No, right now Alicia and I are working together but separately on our writing projects.
Oh.
Cool, huh?
Love you.
I love you, baby.
Here it is. We're looking for the house. This is good. Where's the It's all the way up here. So cute. Got it.
Beep, beep, beep. I turned it off so it wouldn't be so scary this time, or jarring. But 25 minutes.
Nice.
Did you get past that tough point? Are you still swimming in it?
Still swimming in it a little bit, but I'm working on it.
Sometimes it's nice just to have like that accountability right there. Like I can't stop even though I want to.
Well, I mean, usually once I get going, I'm fine. But like I got in, how many words did I get in there? 400 words.
Nice. I think that's about what you got last time, was around between 400 and 500. Which is good.
I have to keep stopping to look things up. Whether it's my own notes or like if a word is right. Because you know how if I get stuck on a word and I'm like, that's not quite right, I will be stuck on that word until I figure out the better word.
It's one reason I like thesaurus is because I will look at words until I figure out what it is.
So for general words, I have a Google open, but I have like these.
Those are handy.
Yes, they are. I'm going to stay in the can bookshelf. It's something. I love you. I was telling Zach, I was like, it would be really nice if I could finish the first draft and go through and integrate all of my comments and all of my little sticky notes in time to have a spiral bound printed copy to take with me when we move and go on the cruise, so I can just be highlighting. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be a little ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
You remind me of Betty Ann, because Betty Ann she goes, always make these lofty goals for myself. She goes, oh yeah, it's totally reasonable that I can build a rocket in my backyard next week and go to the moon. That's how it feels.
Why not?
So, yeah. That's why when I sent her the insane challenge, she's like, this is just more of me trying to put more stuff on myself. I'm like, I'm using it as an inspiration to make my own challenge for myself. But I make challenges for myself all the time. Like I work all the time, as I'm sure you are aware.
Yes.
I cannot not do what I said I was going to do. It drives me fucking batty to say I'm going to do something and then not do it. So, you know.
It does me too, but my problem comes in like if I say I'm going to do something, if I don't like write it down or put it in a calendar or like something,
schedule it.
I'll forget that I said I was going to do it, and then I feel like a jackass because I forgot and because I didn't do it.
See, that happens in a lot of my personal life stuff. A lot of the times I'm like, I'm going to do this thing, but then work takes over. And I'm like, that's the thing I'm getting paid for. That's the thing I need to do. It's everything else.
It's like that, and it drives me a little nuts. Like the other day, I had the divorce came out of nowhere moment because I had just gotten done with my shower, and he came home, and I was getting ready, or not shower, my workout. I was getting ready to get in the shower. And he had come into the bedroom, and I had our laundry basket sitting on my stool for my vanity, like right next to the door. And I was like, hey, on your way down, can you take the basket and just throw everything in the washer? I'll get it when I'm done, put it in the dryer. He was like, yeah, sure. I was like, awesome. So I go in the bathroom, I get in the shower, I get out. Where's the laundry basket?
Right where you left it?
Right where I left it. So I carry it downstairs, and he looks up at me. He was at the kitchen table. He looks up at me. He was like, oh, shit, babe. He was like, I'm so sorry. You got to remind me. I'm like, I said it right before you walked out the damn door. Like, remind you of what? It's like, if I don't write it in a calendar, I'm going to forget. Did you really have to write it? It was right next to you. So, yeah, he does that a lot, too. Like, he'll forget the home things. But it's funny because there are some home things that he is so, so good about. And other ones that I'm just like, I hate living with people. I love you. I love my family, but I want my own house.
I think he feels that way a lot of the time because I will, if allowed, I will let things get pretty bad before I'm like, yeah, something needs to be done about that. So
I have certain things that I'm really bad about. Like I hate dusting. I'm so bad about dusting. I will never do it.
I hate all forms of cleaning.
But I can't deal with like messiness and clutter.
Yeah, I live.
Sharing an office with him drives me batshit crazy because he's messy.
I don't know if you can see, but I have 3 desks. Those are the other 2.
But see, your messiness doesn't bother me because I don't have to live with it.
Right. Yeah. You know.
And he's like, but I have a system. I know where everything is. I'm like, I don't really care because I have to look at it. Or like, I have this thing right here. Is I've got like my mini fridge and my printer underneath it. It's got a couple shelves. I love this thing. It's been great. Whoops, I'm dropping things. And the top of it will eventually end up piled with things right now because of me, but he'll end up like piling stuff on top of it. I'm like, no, that is my space. You didn't want this thing. I wanted this thing. That is mine. You leave it the fuck alone. My space, not your mess. It's my mess right now, but that's because I brought all my photography prints up because I have a friend who had asked me if I'd be willing to sell her some of my cyanotypes. So I was looking for them a little while ago, but that's one of those weird things though. Like, because I look at them, I'm like, I don't know if any of them are like good enough to like sell, but whatever.
I don't know. I mean, people sell their old diamond art paintings that they've completed, so why can't you?
I have a couple of really cool ones, but like they're very different things. Like, cause some of them I did contact prints, so you put an object on top of the chemically treated paper and then you smush it and put it out in the sun. And the other ones you print digital negatives and you contact the digital negatives, so it's flat. But
Oh, book stuff. Have you read the Night Huntress series, Janine Frost?
I want to say at least some of it.
Cat and Bones. I just finished the last book and I'm reading the outtakes one right now. And I'm just like, holy shit, some of this, like, how many sex scenes she's cut out are hilarious. Because some of her fans complained that there wasn't enough, some complained that there was too much. And she's like, you have no idea. You just have no idea.
I think this book that I'm writing is going to have, let me see. I've got that's interesting. I've got like kind of like I kind of open with one a little bit, but not a lot. I can't remember. Did you read the first chapter? I don't remember.
I read your prologue.
And then after that I've written a lot more than I thought I did. 1, 2, but the first 2, they're spicy scenes, but deal with coitus interruptus.
Does anyone see that so
3, 4. I think I got maybe a total like either 5 or 6. But the first couple of like those are all about building the relationship, so it's not like whatever. But yeah, no, in my prologue, not my prologue, my first chapter. And I know a lot of people say don't start with your character waking up, but I did. Kind of.
I've done that too.
She's not exactly sleeping. She's in bed with a woman who is not her affiance on her wedding morning. Because I thought it was funny.
It is funny.
Arranged marriage, by the way. So, I mean, you know.
To be fair. Yeah. My book 2 in the series I'm currently editing for myself, I have it for chapter 1 is a wake up and to sex scene before he goes off to work. But it's kind of like recapping from where the last one ended. And she suddenly moved into a new state. They're engaged. And so she's kind of recapping that right as they get into a little bit of steamy stuff before he goes to his new job.
Wait.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think I can have this conversation while my small human is on the couch talking about axolotls. I don't know.
It's funny. But I use it as an introductory recap and then a little bit of spice. So
for this one, I kind of just wanted to introduce a little bit of her personality and who she was prior to this arranged marriage, because that's going to inform a lot of her decisions as she goes along the way.
Where'd it go? Oh, right. Boom.
And I just thought that was one of those things that just works better showing it rather than telling it, you know? Like, she lived her life kind of hedonistically, and I wanted that to be very apparent at the beginning.
that's a good way to do that then.
I thought so. I know there's a lot of criticism about starting in that sort of vein, like with waking up and in bed in the morning, but
if you have a purpose for it, it's different than just not knowing where to start and having them wake up in the morning and get ready. So that's the difference between that advice a lot of the time, which is why I always say take advice with a grain of salt, even mine. It's because you can break a rule as long as you know why you're breaking it.
Yeah.
So, or a rule.
Yes.
Did we have that telling versus showing conversation yet? Where people are always like, show, don't tell, show, don't tell. I'm like, sometimes you need to tell because showing is worse.
I know where that's at.
Like if you wanted to have them wake up and do their whole morning routine, are you going to say, I got up, put my feet on the ground, walked to the bathroom, got my toothbrush out, put toothpaste on it, brushed my teeth for 2.5 minutes, spit and rinsed. Yeah, like, are you going to write all of that out? Or are you going to say, I got up and get ready?
No. I think I did it right too, though. Like, you want to hear my first line?
Sure.
Tell me what you think. Okay, not first line, first paragraph. It took me a minute before I realized the dual heartbeats blasting in my ears were, in fact, not my heartbeat being echoed by that of the owner of the legs squeezing my head, which was a damn shame because I had my head and her shaking legs exactly where I wanted them. Where she wanted them, too, if the solid grip she had on my hair was any indication.
I like that as an opening line.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I keep reading.
That'll be a fun thing to work through, I think, because her voice, that's the hardest point of view. And her voice is very different when she's being casual and comfortable than it is, like, particularly with her arranged husband at first. Like, even though she's known him her whole life, like, it's a very different tone for her. So working through that character voice should be fun.
As long as it's consistent amongst the two of them. Like you have the two and those are consistent.
So I feel like gradually gets more comfortable. It'll sound more like a natural, less formal sort of a thing. But like she's a royal woman, so there are like levels of formality that she presents depending on the situation that she's in.
I think that's really easily. Have you read any who am I thinking of? Hold on. I had a thought and then I went I want to say Leigh Bardugo. Because she does a lot of caste system-y kind of things and how they talk to each other versus like other people in different situations. I feel like that happens a lot, especially when a commoner becomes a saint and she has to think about the things that she says as a saint. Might be a fun
that's interesting
exploration of that kind of. If I think of any others, I will shoot you a text, but there are a lot of books that I read in fantasy genres that do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The end of that series made me cry. I've been trying to finish series that I've started this year, and I've finished, I think, 4 or 5 now. And that one made me cry.
I would love to finish some of the series that I've started, but they're not complete series, so I have to wait.
I'm finishing completed series or up into where they've been written so far.
I've been waiting for Laurel K. Hamilton's next book.
I quit reading her a while ago. I
got annoyed with the Anita Blake series for a while. But she's been working on I think the 10th and final Mary Gentry book.
Oh my goodness, there are that many. I don't remember how far I got on that one, like 3 or 4, I think.
I like that series. The thing I like most about her writing is how well, in my opinion, she managed to merge modern life with with the fantasy. Particularly when she gets into like the crossover of legalities and and how the law applies in her world to different situations, and I just always found that really fascinating, which was a lot easier in the beginning of the Anita Blake series that I got later.
Mhm.
She did kind of crawl out of that gratuitous sex hole a bit, not completely, but some.
I'm okay with
There's
some.
a lot of it in Mary Gentry, but like with Mary Gentry, I feel like it served like a legitimate purpose.
Didn't she like feed that way or get better that way, or like her power was tied to it or something like that?
So that was Anita Blake.
Okay.
But with Mary, it was a race between Mary and her cousin to get pregnant to see who would take the throne, and Mary knew that if she lost that race, she would be killed.
That makes sense. I don't think I got that far. I think I stopped when I think it was Frost says it was my favorite, and then she like fell in love with her guard more than him, and I was like, I'm out. I wanted you to be with him more than I wanted you to be with the other one. So like,
go back and keep going.
I don't know if I can. I probably can now, but that was like 20-something-year-old me going, "You're not giving me the one I want."
See, I got annoyed with Frost. He was too much of a me type. Like he was very self-centered and he was too pouty. Like
Broody.
Yeah.
I do like the Broody character. Broody man-child.
She had another one like him in the Anita Blake series as Asher. Got to the point where he was just constantly pouting and throwing fits about shit. Like,
wait,
somebody just put a fucking stake in his heart.
Which one?
Asher.
Asher? I didn't get that far. I remember, was it Richard? Him being a broody asshole, but he treated her poorly because of it, so.
Yeah. She's at a point with Anita that there's so many damn characters. Like, I swear to God, like if you want to stick with the series, you need a fucking war board to figure out who everybody is and how they all connect. And there's just too many of them.
Betty Ann was telling me today that I need to do that with my books because you couldn't keep them straight.
Like a family tree.
Yeah. Because there's connections between a lot of them. Like all of my Alicia Costanzo books, every story is connected in some way. But then my Autumn Lishke books, like she was confusing the two of them. I'm like, if that helps you, this one is a different writer than this one is a different writer. Right. But I've been trying to recover, like, give new covers to my books. And unfortunately, having a 14-book series and trying to put a new cover on each one of them at $300 to $400 a pop, it's not very feasible.
No.
So I've been playing with AI, which I know is controversial.
Yeah. I've been playing with AI to design my characters because I have to have a visual.
Me too.
Me stay on track with them, but
my first two new covers I have up there that I had AI make me a few different things, and then I spliced things together and edited some of it myself. So it's not like completely AI. Most of it's generated, but I edited it. But I had a new one. I wonder if I can show it to you. I'll have to. Maybe I messaged it to you already. A girl with glowing eyes trapped in ivy. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's almost what I wanted, but it feels more horror than it does paranormal romance.
Right.
So I am thinking about paying somebody to redo that one for me. Because it's an actual scene in the book where she is possessed by a fairy. And she's in another fairy's house he's a tree nymph. And he's got ivy, like a live ivy in his living room. And he kind of gently pushes into it, taps it, and it like traps her so she can't hurt herself or anybody else. But I think having that with the mundane things that you have in a house, like having a couch and a lamp and all those other things, would make it less horror and more whimsical fantasy. I hope. So I'm gonna pay an artist to do that.
Are those two characters that get involved romantically? I cannot talk. Words are hard.
No.
I was going to say if they were, then you can do the ivy to look more like bondage than like capture. But
It's funny because this is like my least sexy of my books, but it's the most romance heavy of my books. Go figure.
The two don't necessarily go hand in hand. They can be different things.
This is true. But I just figured that would be a really captivating image on the cover that would still be in line with the story. But I don't know. I still think I'm going to do the AI covers for my erotica ones because I can't afford that right now, and I don't like the ones that I have currently. So
that's understandable. Like, services are really expensive.
Good ones are. The ones I have, I made myself. So, which granted has a theme because there's like a black background and a flower on each one of them, or a plant. But that plant is the literal plant that the person in that story gives her or sends her after they've left, and they each have a meaning. And I chose them very specifically in the stories and for the covers, but it doesn't read genre correctly.
I think it'd be really cool if I could get to a point where I do some of my covers or all of my covers with some of my alternative photographic processes. But if I'm going the trad pub route, that's probably not going to happen.
Probably not. They have people.
Yeah.
You can do like bonus material with it though.
Yeah. Put it on my website or something. Which, that's another thing I've been debating, like the whole website thing. Because I have a website. But that's like my personal blog. So I don't think that I'm going to end up like, I might have like a page on the blog kind of dedicated to, oh, hey, this is my other stuff. But I think I need like a completely separate website.
And you can do a lot of free things for your website.
Yeah, I mean, I pay for the one for my blog, but
like I have a free blog on WordPress for both my authors, and then I have my actual website, which links to the blogs, but then that showcases just the books and any extras. And then there's, of course, having a newsletter.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta pick and choose which ones you're gonna do. But having a website is definitely, even if it's one page, it's a must before you publish.
I've also been debating the wisdom of like trying to get through like the drafts and the edits, like have like a final draft for like, I don't know, maybe like the first 3 books before I start trying to query. Because what I don't want to have happen is get through this one, get it published, and then lose interest in writing anything else in this whole world, you know? That would be it. That would be an issue for me.
Well, that also is while you're querying, be writing the next one.
Yeah.
Because the querying process takes a long time. So you could put in your query that book 2 is in progress. If you finish it while you're still querying, you can put book 3 or book 2 is finished and book 3 is in progress and all that other stuff. But if it becomes a job and you get paid for it, it doesn't matter if you're interested or not. Just write it.
Yeah.
You'll get interested in it.
My writing is like, the writing itself is so much better when I'm excited about it. Like, and maybe that's just my own opinion, but I'm not nearly as good with the words if I don't care.
Right. I get you.
Something else.
Publishing is a long process.
It is, yeah.
All around. So
something else I got interested in lately, like, because I've been looking at potentially getting into like mixed media arts. So I was looking at possibly getting into wood burning. And I've been trying to figure out how I can mix that with like, cyanotypes or something, toned cyanotypes. And then I thought, once I get done with this whole project, wouldn't it be cool if I had a big slab of wood and did wood burning for like, and obviously like there's going to be a cartographer for this. I'm not going to try to do it myself, but if I could do a wood burned map of the Empire of Chisal.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I think about those machines that automatically do it for you. The laser.
See, you know what's funny is I joined a group, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of them are using lasers. Because I just don't believe that there's that many people out there that are capable of doing that quality of work with their hands. Maybe I'm just a skeptic, but I'm just like, that doesn't compute to me, you know? But I would want to do it by hand, like, even if I had the map on like a projector, and then I could just do it by hand, but that way. But
be a good way to do it. I've seen people do that.
Do like pop the color around with paintbrushes. Excuse me, or like gold leaf. That could be fun.
Ooh, have you seen I think it's Nerd Forge on YouTube? Might be elsewhere as well. She likes to recover books and whatnot, and she does the painting on the leather and the gold foiling and the burning. Like, she does all of it, and it was really really interesting. She even made herself an alley for behind her bookshelf, so like you can look in this one spot and it goes down like this, and it looks like it goes like this too because it's got a mirror at the end, but all the little tiny details she put in there, and then put her books in front of it so it's actually hidden behind her bookshelf. So freaking cool.
Oh,
you should do that kind of thing. I think you'd like it.
There are some artists on TikTok who will do crystallized books. Have you seen those?
No.
So basically they put a book in like borax, and then like when it comes out of the borax they like shape it, so like, you know, they make cool little shapes with the pages, and they might put a rose or something in it, and like the end result is really cool, and part of me is like, oh, that's really cool, and the other part of me is just like, oh,
we did that to a book. Yeah. So what you need to do is find a book you don't care about and do it to that book.
Yeah, but the problem is like, do you want to spend that kind of time, money, energy, effort on a book that you actually don't care about, you know?
Well, if I'm making art out of it.
I told you I found an obsession for a little while with the tiny books, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You still collect those?
I haven't got any new ones recently, but I have the whole collection of them is on this set of interlocking shelves in my half bath.
I got polymer clay to make little mini books out of.
Oh, that's cool.
I've got a cutter that will do it for me. I need to get a mat and cutters for flower tools. Ooh. I brought with me the bones with the flowers on it that I was telling you about. I finally baked them. So much stuff. All of my things. But the flowers took so freaking long to make by hand.
I bet.
Because they're sticky. And so like you need the actual mat that it doesn't stick to when you roll them out. Yeah. But I was gonna make these into bookmarks so that you'd put the wire inside and it'd be hanging as a decoration. That's my thought anyways. I'm sure you could hang it down here if for whatever reason
you can't. Or you put it on the top of the bookmark so it hangs over the top.
Mm-hmm. So
one of my photo projects that I did this past semester was macros of organic things, but with a heavier focus on flowers that are kind of local to the area. And I think it'd be cool to do something like that and continue it, but also print them out as digital negatives, print those as cyanotypes, and put them on books. And then I could do different collections, like, oh, like these are the DC bookmarks, and these are the Tokyo bookmarks, and, you know, these are the New York bookmarks, and things like that. But it'd be like, so like, for example, one of my images. This.
It's pretty.
Thank you. But I could print it like that. and turn them into bookmarks or postcards or whatever. Which I think would be really cool.
I think that's a fun idea. There's somebody I've seen who does a painting in small format and then cuts it into strips as bookmarks.
Nice. And I think I showed you one of the there we don't go. My lumens that I did with the angel that your mom made me.
I like that.
Came out really cool. Like the oranges that she put up here, like they did really cool things to the sunlight. And I did it on different types of paper. So some of it was like Ilford paper, some of it was not Ilford paper. It's all expired naturally, but
I need to give you my paper. I have so much photo paper.
I would totally geek out. That one I thought came out really cool. Lumens were a lot of fun. I played around with some crazy ideas with Lumen.
Mm-hmm.
And then those are my big black and whites. I ordered like preserved butterflies and dragonflies and turned those into lumens.
Dude, what?
Remember Mommy ordered the dead butterflies a while back?
Yeah, where's the dragonflies?
The dragonflies? I don't know if I have any on the smaller paper. Oh, so this is the one with the butterflies.
I like that.
Dragonflies. There, dragonflies.
Oh, my legs are
Dragonflies.
so bad, Mom.
Why do your legs hurt, baby?
I don't know, but when I'm on my tippy toes,
Puzzle
they don't
pieces.
hurt. Mom, when I'm on my tippy toes, they don't hurt. They hurt a little bit when I'm on my tippy toes.
They do.
On my feet, they hurt.
Oh my goodness.
I want to be on my full feet.
I like how that one came out. Golden Gate Bridge.
I like that too.
And I had one of my best ones, Hannah's fingerprint.
Had you one before?
My shark tooth.
What was it? Shark tooth?
That's my biggest shark tooth. I took a picture of it with my phone and then sent it to my computer and printed off a digital negative. And I did it as both a cyanotype and a Van Dyke brown. So that was fun. But then they were like, these are the ones with like contact with like objects instead of prints. So they come out quite a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was thinking about turning stuff like that into bookmarks, postcards, holiday greeting cards. I was thinking about doing cyanotypes this year for our Christmas cards and ordering like little bits of like mistletoe and holly and like cedar leaves, stuff like that, and then doing my prints and also adding them because I'm such a geek. We have wax stamps.
I have wax stamps too.
Like we've got one that's like customized with like the Lynch family crest. So like when you pour the wax, you pour it over top of like a sprig of holly or something and then stamp it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I want to do for our Christmas cards this year. I kind of want to be a little extra because I didn't have it in me to write one this past Christmas. So I want to go a little extra.
I actually still have your wax stamp up on my board behind my computer from your wedding invitation.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I don't remember if that was the family crest one or not. Because I have like 3 or 4 at this point.
See, I am a dork. and how I did my wax stamp things. I don't think these are the ones, are they? I got book stuff.
Ooh. I have Zach bought me an embosser.
I have one that says red on it, and this is a tiny little one because in one of my notebooks I have prompts like a bingo, and so every time I do it, I would stamp it in a different color for the genre of the book I read for that prompt because I'm a dork.
I have an embosser that says "From the Library of Becky Lynch" on it.
I want one of those.
Zach bought it for me for Christmas and put it in my stocking a couple of years ago.
There's a YouTuber I watch, Gavin Reads It All. Used to be How to Train Your Gavin. Absolutely fabulous gay man in London. Or in England. I don't know if he's actually in London. He's got a series right now, Emboss It or Toss It. So he reads book and he's either going to emboss it or unhaul it.
I got rid of about half of my books. I got rid of about half of my books.
That's a lot. I need to get rid of some of mine.
It was related to the move, and not necessarily the move to DC, but specifically going overseas. And it was kind of, do I ever think I'm going to read these again? Do I enjoy having them at all? And so now I've got it down to like, these are the ones that I might read again, but if not, I at least enjoy having the collections. And I'm gonna redo how I do the bookshelves. Like I want some of those 360-degree rotating ones. I want some of the ones that are like the floaters on the walls that you can't see when you put the hardbacks on them. So that I can do like, this trilogy floats here, and like this series goes on this shelf, and like just kind of make it like a more of an art statement than just somewhere to store the books,
Right. I can see that. A lot of the books that I'm currently keeping are ones that were like I buy books after I've read them on the library to support the author because I really enjoyed that book. And so I have collections of those. I also have, because of my job, a lot of special edition books and like signed copies and that kind of thing that I keep as well. I actually got a signed copy of one of my favorite authors for my birthday. One of my friends who works at the library got it. She goes, "I don't think you have this one." And I looked at it. I was like, "Oh my God, I love this book." Didn't even notice that it had sprayed edges or that it was signed inside. I had to text her because I was just so excited to have the book. Like, I don't have this one yet. And then later I texted her like, "Oh my God, it's signed too."
I have, so my claims to fame with the book collection are, I think I've showed you my Shakespeare that I have. It was printed it's leather bound and printed in 1878, color illustrated. It's in bad shape. Like it's not, you can't pick it up and read it, but I found it in our rare books room in Austin, which is really funny now that I think about it, because the other day I had a dream that I was in Austin looking for that bookstore. But I don't know. That's one of those ones that I'm like, do I really need to keep it? Does it really bring me any joy having it? Or do I just like being able to tell people that I have it? So I have that. And then I'm a big fan of the Outlander series. And I don't have all of the books in print. I have 3 of them. One of them has a really drastic misprint issue. And I went down a rabbit hole looking for anybody else that had this issue with this particular book. Can't find it anywhere. So if anybody else has it, it hasn't been reported. So that will be the one. If I ever meet Diana Gabaldon, that will be the one I ask her to sign, because
I have one of her books. It was an ARC copy that a friend of mine won, and it was like her favorite book. And she asked people if she wanted one, and I keep it because she passed away. I'm like, that's like my token of her, because I did not enjoy the books. So, they're too rapey.
Yeah, they're a rough read.
If someone ever whooped my ass like that, he better not close his eyes around me, because he will die in his sleep. Do not hit me. I warned Jason, like, you hit me, you better kill me, because I will kill you.
So that one, so that particular scene, I kind of had to take with a big swallow of you know, what was realistic for the time period that it was being written for.
Mm-hmm. I don't care.
So that was the one that didn't bother me so much because I've read like so many fucking historicals that like getting through the misogyny of historicals doesn't even bother me anymore.
I don't read historicals for that reason. Yeah.
The one that killed me though was there's a specific scene involving Jamie where he was victimized, and that one really got me.
Mm-hmm. In book one?
I don't remember if that was book one or book two. It's been a while since I've actually sat down and read them because
you got victimized pretty hard in book one at the end.
So it was book one. But yeah, no, they're meaty books, and I have trouble remembering which series events happened in which books because there's 9 of them right now. They're all over 1,000 pages.
I would have cut a couple hundred pages out of personally as an editor.
She's very wordy. I think kind of in the same vein as like Stephen King and Anne Rice. Like she's very, very descriptive.
Both people that if you had given me their books would probably be half their sizes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can't read either of those people either. I tried reading the The Witching Hour, I think, is like book one in the Wayfarer Witches is 1,000 pages. And I was like, that's too many. That is too many for a book.
If I enjoy the reading, like if I enjoy the story enough, then the extra descriptive wording will be helpful to me as far as escapism goes. Like it helps me kind of really immerse more. Yeah, I love the fact you and I are so very different in how we read and what we read, and that's fine. Because we get different perspectives on it, but it just, I don't know.
Have you read Ekatar?
Yeah.
What did you think of the 3 books?
So I've read the whole Ekatar series.
I DNF'd the Starlight one, the novella. I couldn't finish it.
There was a novella?
The Christmas Story?
Oh, I don't think I read that one. I might have. I don't know. So with the Ekatar books, like for me, they kind of fall into the category of I really enjoyed them in the I don't have to think about this sort of way. Like they were one of the series that I picked up and read with the intention of not having to think
too hard.
Yeah.
I called them enjoyable enough.
I like Fourth Wing, like because I don't have to think about it, you know.
But I actually enjoyed reading Fourth Wing.
Well, I mean, I did too, but I followed it easily enough that I didn't have to. Like, I mean, particularly in the fantasy realm, there are lots of authors where I have to put in way too much brain power that I can't just escape into the story. Like, I have to sit there and think about what they're saying and how things connect. It's too much, you know.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
But with Ekatar and Fourth Wing, for me, it was they're the cozy, comfortable sort of reads. Now there was a lot more in my mind, emotionally speaking, there was a lot more angst with some of the stuff going on in the Fourth Wing series, and I have to give myself lots of reminders when I'm reading that series because I have to remember these are people in their very late teens and early 20s. They're going to be stupid. They're not going to communicate very well. There's going to be lots of angst. But reading it as a woman who is over the age of 40, I'm sitting there going, just fucking talk to each other.
I'm like that with a lot of romance novels in general, too. Yeah.
The miscommunication trope drives me nuts. Particularly, like, if there's not really a very solid reason for it. Like, I'm using some amount of a miscommunication trope in my current book, but it's there because the two of them have shared trauma from opposite sides of that trauma in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they're not prepared to be vulnerable with each other. So that's
they've got too much to lose as well, if they are.
Right.
Which makes more sense.
The thing with and I know that like looking at it from a purely objective point of view, the push for knowledge fits with Violet's character, and the secrecy fits with Vaden's character. But it got very repetitive, particularly in Iron Flame, to the point where I was just kind of pushing through those bits and pieces to get to the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, the overall story, I still love the overall story, and I will devour the 4th book as soon as it comes out, and I'll be mad because I have to wait years for the next one.
No.
But those were the issues that I had with it. That and I am very much on the boat of Taylor, zip it. He fears me. Lies I tell myself. One thing that just gets me is, and I see this talked about a lot, and I very much agree with it, is the whole thing with, you've got this female lead who, they sit there and they really emphasize the point of she's small, she's weak, she's never done anything like this before. And then now Rebecca Yarros, I think, did a fairly better job of it than most, where she had to have her female lead work for her abilities. But it's that, and then the constant harping on, oh, she's so much smaller than him. Shut the fuck up.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
It's not her being smaller, it's her bones being breakable and her getting sick more often.
And when you tell me that she barely comes up to his collarbone, and I know this probably makes me sound weird, and I've seen other people be called creepy for this, but completely honestly, if you tell me over and over again that she's this small, tiny, dainty thing without any curves, and she barely comes up to his collarbone, to me, I think child. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's because I'm stupid tall, but
no, me too. The emphasis on that kind of dynamic has gotten really out of hand in a lot of fiction. So
it has, and I don't find it problematic with any single author. It's the systematic issue with it that bothers me.
And that might be weird because one of my favorite books that I've written is my Basil in Winter. And now I emphasize that Winter is petite. She's small, but she's curvy. She's very much a woman. But I emphasize that because she's the most notorious warrior of the place. She's supposed to rule the place. And everybody's like, you're so small, though. And she's like, yeah. And that makes you underestimate me. And that's why I would have killed you by now. Which I show over and over again. But my favorite story is her and Basil. Because Basil is also a slender, normal-looking guy who was an assassin because he blended in so well.
Right.
So, and that she recognized him. She goes, other men probably underestimate you, but I see how deadly you are too. And I just liked their dynamic together because of that.
And that's a whole thing. Because I don't understand why, particularly in the fantasy and the romantasy realms, we have such an issue with normal-sized people. What is wrong with a 5'9" female lead? What is wrong with a 5'11" male lead? Why do they all have to be 7 fucking feet tall or 5 feet fucking tall?
I have one 7 foot tall guy, and the only reason I did that is because I thought it was funny to make a leprechaun 7 feet tall. So, although some of my other ones, because I role played them first, are a bit to 6'6", 6'7", and I'm like, if I were to rewrite them now, I would make them normal. But they're also one's a bear, and so you imagine a bear is going to be big.
Here's the thing that people don't talk about, okay? And I think about this again through the lens of being somebody who's very tall myself, particularly a tall woman, because let's be perfectly honest, even before I gained weight, the fashion industry was not designed for women as tall as me. For models, 5'10", 5'11" is the goalpost. I'm 6'1". Where the fuck are these people buying their pants? Where are people finding pants that fit them at the appropriate fucking length in these books? And again, I know fantasy, I get it, but
they wear dresses.
But even that, you know how hard it is for me to walk into a formal store and still find something long enough for me? Here's another thing. Jumpsuits, I can't wear jumpsuits. You know why? Because they're always about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch too short from the shoulder to the crotch.
So major camel toe.
Yeah. And I'm just I know that these are things that people don't want to think about when they're writing fantasy because it makes sense in their mind of why this happens. It's just X and Y. They probably don't even consider how we got from there to there. Mm-hmm. But as a reader,
I'd love to see you tackle this in yours.
Yeah, well, so to me, that just goes hand in hand with, they wake up in the morning and they had sex and Okay, but did nobody get up and go pee first? Did nobody go brush their teeth? You know, we just got to the end of the battle and had sex. And that one, even that one, like, I understand to some extent because, you know, I've been deployed into a combat zone. I see what people do in combat zones. People are nasty. All right. They are. I get it. But when you're a reader, you don't want to read about the funk while getting funky. Like there's a separation. So how do you separate those things, have it make sense for the story, and not gross out your reader? And to me, that just all falls into the same category, you know? Like, was it really that hard to put them next to a river that they could go dunk themselves in for 30 damn seconds?
I do actually address that in my Loving Red story where they go and bathe in the river together and he finds some soap wort that like scrub each other down before they do stuff with each other. But I think there's a little bit of allowance for that to make a storyline smoother, like not brushing your teeth and whatnot.
Yeah.
There's something I do like to address, especially in the romance books that I write for ghostwriting. Like the one I'm currently rereading, there's parts where they're like, all right, sit here. And they go and the man goes and grabs something to help clean her up a little bit with. Like, I do like to put those kinds of moments in there so that they're not just sitting in grossness. The scene I'm currently doing, because it's a 3-on-1 scene, the character in his mind is even, he goes, we're going to make a mess out of her duvet. Fuck it. I'll clean it for her when we're done. Like,
there is an erotica that I read recently. I don't even remember the name of it or who wrote it because I can't remember shit anymore. But it was the essential premise there is that a government spook / assassin walks into, it's like 1800s or something in London. He walks into a brothel and he decides he's going to hire this whore who fell into prostitution because her dad died and left the family in debt or whatever, right? And he likes her enough that he ends up taking her home and like it becomes part of her ritual. Like he's one of those like almost OCD about at this time we're having dinner and at this time we're playing chess and at this time we're doing this and at this time I will be in your room. So in between those last two time periods, it becomes a ritual for her to shower and shave and, you know, like, and he goes and so it's part of the ritual of preparing for, you know, sharing those moments with each other, particularly because it was somewhat kink heavy. And so, you know, the preparation for from what I understand, a lot of people in that lifestyle, the preparation is every bit as much a part of what happens after as the scene is, because it's all like, you know, if you don't prepare yourself for it, then you're going in kind of like raw dogging it and it just doesn't vibe as well.
You're going to have a bad time.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's little things like that. And, you know, you read a lot of, and I'm going to pick a little bit on Sarah J. Maas here for a second, and the whole, you know, they always smell like pine and snow thing. Like, no, they do not. Particularly in Throne of Glass. Have you read her Throne of Glass?
I read the first one, yeah.
So I first started on those years ago, and I got through the first couple, and I was like, this is a slog. And then I went back and I read it again after I read ACOTAR, and I really enjoyed it more as an adult than I did when I was younger, which is interesting given that she wrote it when she was so young.
I believe that was her first series.
It was, yeah. She published the first one, I think, when she was like 16. But she really harped on the whole, like, the scent thing, which, you know, when your main character is Fae, but her shape-shifting form is human, where are the other little human elements? You know, she's not going to smell like fucking lavender and sunshine all the time. Like, you know, it's just little things like that. But for me, one of the big ones is when you've got somebody walking around who's 6'8", do their pants cover their ankles? And if so, where'd they get them? I want to know.
Custom made.
Yeah, but I mean, even the like the poor people, you know, where are they getting their shit? It's just it's little things. I don't know. I try to keep those in mind when I'm writing, and I know I'm probably going to forget some things and leave some things out, and then I'm gonna get criticism for it. And I'm gonna go back and be like, yeah, that was fucking dumb. I should have fixed that. But little things.
Hindsight's 2020. The reason I brought up Sarah J. Maas when you were talking about writing styles and whatnot, I was not. To be fair, I read the first ACOTAR book in 2 days. Like I was enthralled enough with the story to be. I saw a lot of problems with it. I felt like it was a more adult version of Twilight. That's how I felt about book 1. Book 2, I liked a little bit better. I still only gave it a 4. But book 3, the ending of book 3 made me so mad. I'm like, we took way too long fighting. And then the person who dies at the end, like all of a sudden dad's a miraculous good guy and we're going to be sad that he died even though he did shit all for everybody and got us in this situation to begin with. What the fuck kind of cheese is that? Why does everybody like this so much?
That bothered me too. The only thing that kept that from being a massive issue for me is like just thinking about how complicated the emotions are following a death. Like, I'm trying to think how to phrase this without invading anybody's privacy here, but I think, you and I both know somebody who lost a parent and did not have a good relationship with that parent, didn't think that it was going to bother them as much as it did. And, part of that person crumbled a bit. And, it's because it's never just going to be straightforward. And that I think is the only thing that kept that particular thing from being an absolute deal breaker for me, was just understanding, because I didn't read them until after we lost Hannah. And so for me, understanding ahead of time that
what grief connects you to you.
Yeah. And
see, and that's not the problem I had with it, is not them having grief over them, but that being the big moment of loss when nobody else important died.
Right. And
because
so that's another thing.
It was cheesy, like what is that called? It was a cop-out.
Yeah.
If I have to kill somebody, I'm going to make this person magically be better, and then we're going to kill him and have everybody be sad. It's like that.
That's the thing too, is that's been a trend where we don't kill off any main characters, and if we do, they just magically come back. And so that's her opinion. Trying to keep that in mind when I'm writing, like, okay, who can I hurt, how badly, and in what ways without it coming across as, either super fucked up, like where do I hit that point where I'm like, this is how fucked up I want it to be, and where have I stepped past that point? Because I am torturing them.
I torture mine too.
In some interesting ways.
My favorite was waterboarding so far. Or dislocating all of the joints in somebody and putting them back together because they're magic and they heal pretty fast.
I'm sticking more towards like
traditional torture.
Trauma. No, psychological torture.
Oh, psychological.
Yes, I'm emotionally and psychologically torturing them.
That's also a fun thing to do. I have done that as well, but
I think that was one of the reasons that I liked George R.R. Martin's work so much. Like, not because, I mean, like, there's obviously some massively problematic issues there.
I haven't seen or watched Game of Thrones. I haven't read it or watched it.
I think, okay, so on the one hand, I think you would absolutely find it too rapey, but on the other hand, I think from a, like, strictly from a professional point of view, I think you should read it. Because I will say that he's very good at weaving webs.
Mm-hmm.
And I will also say he's not afraid to kill off any mains.
I have noticed that.
Okay, can you go put those on my bed? Or not? What?
Can I see if this is a pump?
No.
Oh.
Say hi to your godmother.
Hi.
Hello. You've gotten too big. That makes me feel old.
I have squirrel. Yes.
A squirrel got your backpack?
Yes.
Was it trying to build a nest?
No. It was trying to take the stuff that was inside.
I was gonna say, is it stuff freaking in there? Jesus. But yeah, no, there's I think there are some things that you would find interesting with his writing just from a purely professional point of view, not necessarily from a reading to enjoy it point of view, but just like professionally speaking. But I think that was one of the things that I really liked about him, was that he, nobody's safe. Like,
I didn't enjoy that concept that he's got going on. I am not an epic fantasy reader in general. There's a few that I've liked, and I know that's what you're writing, and I'm totally like excited because it's you writing it and that I'm going to read it anyways. But I tend to veer off of epics because I don't like them. I don't like the big world view versus I want to be in one character and I want to follow the set of characters through their story. I don't want to be over here. I don't like omniscience. I don't like head hopping. I don't care about your culture. I want to know what's going on with the characters and all that other stuff being background. If that
so
makes
he kind of does manage to blend both of those facets, because it's like, yeah, you've got so he doesn't write first person, it's all third person. But from multiple characters' points of views, and like some books won't have some of the primary characters in them, and other books won't have other primary characters in them. But it's like, have you ever seen what's a good example of this? Love Actually. Okay, that's one of mine and Zach's Christmas traditions. We watch that movie all the time. But basically, the concept of, you've got all of these characters that are seemingly unrelated, and they're all doing their own thing until you get to a point where they all just kind of funnel together.
I read books like that, yeah.
2012 was a good one that did that.
If we're talking about movies, I don't watch very many movies. But I know books that have done this before, like the 5th season did that, where you follow 3 girls and then you spoil it. So they're all the same girl.
Martin's really good at like funneling things down. But he does get a very, very broad cast, which does make things interesting, because unless you're willing to mentally track who does what, where, and when, it does get very confusing. But just again, professionally, I think there are some things in there that you might find interesting. But it's also hard because there's 2 more planned books in the series. And he, based on one of his latest blog posts, may decide not to publish them ever out of spite, because he's gotten a lot of criticism on how long it takes him to write. Then there was the factor of how poorly received the final season of Game of Thrones was, because they rushed it. And they really should not have. And then, he's older and not in the greatest health. So there's, been a lot of public speculation on whether he's going to live long enough to finish the series, because the last one came out in like 2010 or 2011, and supposedly he's been working on the next one ever since then. He's a very slow writer. He's a very, very slow writer. Like, he started writing these like the 90s or something. But so his latest blog post kind of indicated that he may just never publish them out of spite. Like, which, you know what? I mean, kind of fair, maybe. I don't know.
I get it.
But again, just some interesting things in the way that he does things. He's very good at tormenting his characters. He's very good at killing off mains, because nobody is safe, and the man does not care. He will kill them all.
I killed off one of my main characters in book 4 of my 5-book series. Like, one of my main characters. And everybody's like, why? I'm like, it will be evident in book 5 why, but it had to happen. Like, in order to get Rhea free of the messed up queen,
right?
It was the only way. So I kind of like doing that kind of shit, though, because in the last book of the series, nobody's safe. Nobody is safe.
Yeah, and there's like I'm trying to channel some of that energy without trying to give too much away. Not just for a current book, but for like the series overall. I've got, some characters that are going to be more involved later, some that are going to be less involved later, and trying to figure out, okay, what's the stopping point on them? How far am I willing to take what I'm going to do to these poor creatures? And it's also like, writing it as an epic fantasy is interesting. And that's another thing, like, trying to figure out how I'm going to market this book, because I started it as a romantasy, and it's not going in that direction. It's spicy, but it's going in a much more just epic fantasy. direction. And yeah, I've got multiple magic systems, but they're all very flawed. So how much can, mages, witchers, and conjurers depend on their magic to keep them safe? When is it going to fail? How is it going to fail? Why does it fail? And those are all questions that are going to be answered, but a lot of them are not going to be answered in book 1. Because I don't want to.
Right. It's better to not answer all the questions in book 1.
I still haven't figured out if I'm going to stick with Zahara as the singular protagonist, because I've got Mel too, but it's Zahara's story. And, so am I going to continue having it be her story throughout the series? Or do I let her have her story and then move on to somebody else who is connected to the series of events and let them be a protagonist for a while? I don't know yet.
When you figure out what the story in book 2 is, you'll figure out who you're following, what you want to accomplish in book 2.
Yeah. I mean, just the way that I plan on ending book 1, Zahara is going to have to be in book 2, at least in some way. But, I mean, since all of the events are connected, it stands to reason that even if I jump protagonist, then the people are connected as well. But.
Fair enough. I hate to do this, but I still have work to do today. So I'm going to have to go to work.
That's unfortunate.
I know, we could probably talk forever, but we've been up here for 2 hours, 15 minutes. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure your kids want to bug you.
Always. But only when I'm busy.
Oh, of course. Always when you're busy. Oh, there's the kitty again.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to get this in tonight. So I'm going to go back to work.
Good luck.
Thank you. All right. You want to do this again next week or no? Next week you're going to be surgery.
I have surgery on Wednesday, so I could do Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
I don't think I have anything going on. Let me pull my Google calendar real quick because my computer calendar does not have anything on it. Yeah, I don't have anything on the 16th or the 17th. So.
Okay. 17th is Yehu's 22nd birthday.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. Getting old. Okay. On that note, I'm going to go be old and work for the rest of the night.
All right, text me and we'll figure out our next time.
Okay.
Hey, love you.
Moo you.
Moo you.